Many thanks to the channel members, Rafi Ultron and Brian Bierce, for their valuable support to this project. That said, let's begin with the video. Yeowoon is calmly washing the dishes with a slight smile on his face until Shin-young shows up and asks if something good happened to him, since he seems so happy he's almost singing the moment he arrives at work. He replies that he's simply in a good mood because the weather is nice. Even so, his coworker suspects there's something more behind his happiness. Then, Yeowoon asks why she hasn't gone home, and Shin-young says the boss asked her to keep an eye on him for 5 minutes because she went out to buy more milk. But then she looks at him closely and asks how things are going with the girl he mentioned before. The young man smiles and replies that it's going so-so. Without missing a beat, his coworker tells him that if, by chance, things don't work out, he should let her know, because she'll take him out for drinks. Yeowoon asks why she would do that, and she responds by questioning him back. Why does he ask so much? She says it's obvious she's interested. That leads Yeowoon to ask her if it's true. Shin-young loses patience and replies that of course she's interested, but that doesn't mean she likes him. For now, she just wants to talk to him and asks him not to feel uncomfortable. In the end, Yeowoon replies that it doesn't matter to him, but asks why she's interested in him if they've barely talked. Shin-young says that even if he's not interested in her, it still stings a little to hear him say it so bluntly. The guy replies that he was just curious. She answers that it's nothing out of the ordinary, so there's no reason to hide it. She explains that, first of all, he caught her attention because he's tall. She also remembers that when they were studying, she saw him quietly picking up some tissues that had fallen on the floor, and that made her think he was a responsible person, which motivated her to want to talk to him. Yeowoon watches her in silence for a few seconds and asks if that's all. Shin-young nods, but then throws him a question, wondering if he thinks that kind of interest is weird. Before Yeowoon can answer, a customer arrives wanting to place an order. Shin-young immediately switches to her customer service role and greets the new customer. Yeowoon is left thinking he doesn't find it weird, just a bit surprising, since his reasons weren't so different. He remembers that his interest in Haein simply started because they often took the last train together. He looks at his coworker and reflects that because of what happened last time, he thought she took feelings lightly, but maybe she was just very honest when expressing them. Just then, she catches him staring. She asks what he's looking at, and Yeowoon replies, nothing, but then adds that she'll surely find someone good, and that, in his opinion, she's a good person too. Shin-young says that sounds way too definitive, and that she hasn't even invited him for a drink yet, so she asks him not to put up so many walls. She also warns him not to let his guard down. Even if things seem to be going well with the girl he likes, who knows if they'll end up dating or not? She poses the hypothetical, what if she rejects him terribly? The young man asks if that's something one says to a coworker. Just then, the boss arrives and tells Shin-young that she can go home now. She's happy to hear it. But as she leaves, she sticks her tongue out at Yeowoon and jokingly says she hopes he gets rejected, which annoys him. However, he thinks he still hasn't received an answer from Haein and believes she doesn't like to talk by text or phone. And if he can't meet her tonight either, he'll have to settle for sending her a little goodnight message. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, the music group is celebrating a new collaboration. Hyunjae says everyone worked very hard and today is a party day, so he invites everyone to enjoy and drink a lot, cheering them up with the food and drinks offered. Haein asks if they've already set the release date for the collaboration, and Hyunjae replies yes, it will be June 27th, and on the 20th, they'll release a teaser video. He tells her she can share the news on Instagram. The girl reflects that it's still quite far off and thinks it might be a weak excuse to invite him. Then Hyunjae asks if she wants to see the album cover. He shows them how amazing the cover turned out with the color combination. One of the band members comments that it looks great and closely resembles the design handmade, something she gladly acknowledges. She also says they captured Yukin's features very well and that it was interesting to see him illustrated by someone else. Hyunjae watches her smiling and asks what she's working on lately, if she's making any songs. She replies yes, that she has many demos piled up and will choose one to finish. She'll probably record it next week. Hyunjae comments that she's very hardworking, but she just finished a collaboration, so he thought she'd take a break. Then Ki-hoon, the guitarist, contradicts him, saying he knows he's been very busy with events lately. Hyunjae laughs, confessing that he wanted to pretend he was a lazy musician. He adds that he's actually very busy, with lots of small concerts, managing the company, and producing the soundtrack for a series. Then he glances sideways at Hain and says he's going to launch his own record label. The girl smiles and asks if it's finally happening, the thing he told her about a while ago. He replies that, for now, it'll be a personal label, and he's still thinking about which artist to sign. Excited, Ki-hoon asks how about signing their band, Idiot Dot, to which Hyunjae replies that they already have their own label, Watermelon Sounds. The guitarist says he didn't know that, and Hyunjae says it was obvious they'd be discovered soon, since they're a good band. He takes the opportunity to mention that he'd like to sign artists who are looking for new and interesting things, because that way it'll feel worthwhile to have started the company. Just then, Lim Ju-won, the bassist, calls him and asks if he wants to go out for a smoke. Hyunjae agrees and gets up to go with him. The guitarist wants to go too, but Ji-won says no, he should stay. Ki-hoon asks why he can't come, and the bassist replies that if he comes, it ruins the party vibe. That makes Ki-hoon puff up with pride and decide to stay. Outside, Hyunjae doesn't waste time and asks Ji-won if he's against his new label and doesn't like the idea. The blonde says he's not opposing. He hasn't even said anything yet. But Hyunjae says he knows Ji-won doesn't smoke and still brought him out on purpose. He asks if he interrupted the conversation to prevent him from signing Long Afternoon. Ji-won clarifies that he's not opposed, but he has a request. He wants Hyunjae to give Hain a big opportunity on an important stage. Hyunjae asks what he means. Ji-won says it could be a festival or a solo concert. He wants him to give Hain a chance, whether as part of the team or as an artist. He says she needs a goal. Right now, she underestimates herself and settles for being an unknown musician. But if she steps onto a big stage a few times, she'll start dreaming bigger. So much that she'll want to become an artist loved by many people. Hyunjae laughs and says that from what Ji-won says, it's clear he also thinks highly of Hain. Ji-won confirms it, saying that if he didn't, he wouldn't have joined that project. He's satisfied being part of the band and has already listened to the demos Hain wants to record. He assures Hyunjae that when he hears them, he'll understand the great rhythm that group has. That's why he asks him to open the final door so Hain can start having ambition. Hyunjae smiles and says he'll try, but in the end, it all depends on her. Because the only person who can open that door and walk out is the one who locked it in the first place. After leaving the celebration, Hae-in checks her phone and, seeing the time, comments that there's still a while before the last train. She sits on the ground and wonders what she should do. She says this is all nice, remembering the kiss with Yo-woon, but she also admits to herself that she doesn't know what to say about Long Afternoon.